Friends, you will freak out. Yes, we're going to disclose that disgusting figure here. Elizabeth Harrington for the Washington Free Beacon. She's reporting that taxpayer-funded sex change surgeries would cost the Pentagon $1.3 billion. B. That's billion with a B. Over 10 years. President Trump announced on Wednesday that transgendered individuals will not be eligible to serve in the military, the White House citing cost and military readiness concerns. They state here that internal data provided to the Washington Free Beacon from Representative Vicky Hartzler says that she's a leading opponent of the taxpayer-funded sex changes show that even by using a conservative estimate, the cost associated with 0.7% of the military population is great. Her office provided a detailed calculation, they report, that shows estimates of the current number of transgender service members. The number is likely to seek, these are the number of people likely to seek taxpayer-funded gender transitions. Unbelievable. Quote, the 10-year cost estimate is for surgery only and is adjusted for 3% inflation. It accounts for active duty, Guard, and Reserve members currently serving, as well as new recruits over the same time period. The document states that it uses the fiscal year 18 DoD number for total number of military members and multiplies it by the percentage of military personnel assumed to be transgender, as reported by the UCLA Williams Institute and National Center for Transgender Equality. The 2014 Williams Institute found there were 15,500 transgender individuals actively serving, or 0.7% of the military population. They report here that by adjusting the figure for the enlisted numbers of 2,130,000, there are currently 14,910 transgender service members. 30% of those will likely seek surgeries, or about 4,500 transgender troops. The average cost per surgery, $132,000. Your money. Your taxpayer money. Okay, they say this is a combination of the average cost of male to female, which is about $140,000, and female to male, $124,000. Male to female, yes, chopping it off. That's how much they're paying. Wow. They write here the cost of taxpayers for these surgeries would be a staggering $590 million and $770 million with a 3% inflation rate by 2027. They continue here. The Free Beacon states that Hartzler's office calculated additional costs of surgeries for new transgender recruits every year thereafter, stating that there are 178,000 new military members per year, assuming 0.7% are transgender, 1,246 new transgender service members every single year. They say that assuming 30% get surgeries, there will be an additional 374 surgical transitions per year, or almost 4,000 over 10 years. Those surgeries would cost $493 million. And they say with 3% inflation, a total of $579 million by 2027. The cost of active duty transgender surgeries, they write here, the Free Beacon states, and those new recruits over a 10-year period, well, will cost the American taxpayer $1.349 billion. So while you got all these people freaking out, oh my God, they're being discriminatory. They're now letting transgendered people serve in the military. Oh, they want to serve our country. You know, I read an amazing post on Facebook, on my personal Facebook, and it was stating like, look, there's a lot of people that don't get into the military. All right, you have to fit a specific set of physical requirements. All right, and there are people who are discriminated against going into the military because of their weight, because they can't run a certain distance, because they can't get up in the morning, whatever it is. They will not accept you. So if this individual, these transgendered individuals, they're going to have a massive cost burden to the American people. So Trump's trying to say, look, we're not going to be cutting off people anymore, or having these surgeries anymore, and we're going to be saving the American taxpayers $1.4 billion. I think it's a great move. Why would the American taxpayer have to pay the bill? It's ridiculous. So, what are your thoughts on that? Comment below. This is not something you're going to see on the mainstream press. Okay, you're not going to see this in the headlines. You're not going to see this in the social media feeds. So it's up to you to put this out there into social media. Okay? These numbers are real. They're hard numbers. They're not going away. But Trump just saved all of us this money. And the embarrassment.
A year. So what is the truth about this? Elizabeth Harrington is a writer for the Washington Free Beacon. She's looked into it in some detail, and she joins us tonight. Elizabeth, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So what's the truth here? What would this cost?
This would cost, it's striking because the numbers, in fact, are there's only 0.7% of the active duty military population are transgender. But the cost is actually $1.3 billion over 10 years. And these numbers come from the Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler from Missouri. And I think they provide a much far accurate picture than the RAND Corporation study, which was commissioned by the Obama administration. Had very low numbers estimating the actual amount of transgenders in active duty. They excluded the reserves, they excluded the Guard, and they only assumed that 5% would get transgender surgeries. But the fact is, a more accurate number is 30%, and it's really a conservative estimate that 30% would get the surgeries, because actually, in fact, a much higher percentage of transgender individuals express the desire to get a surgical transition in the future someday. And if they're taxpayer funded, look, sex changes aren't cheap. And if they're taxpayer funded and they're free, I think it'll incentivize a lot of more transgender individuals to utilize taxpayer funding for these high cost surgeries.
Is there any suggestion that those surgeries, whatever their cost, will improve military readiness, will make the military more effective at fighting wars?
No, and that's one thing I wasn't able to mention in the report, but it's striking because even the RAND Corporation admits that every transgender soldier who goes through transition will be out in estimated 238 days. So that is 238 days that they're not going to be deployed overseas in active duty, and someone else will have to go in their place. So when the White House says this is about cost, but it's also about readiness, they're absolutely right, because they're taking the place of someone else, and they get to have the taxpayer-funded surgery, and then they're not available to be deployed because these surgeries are extensive, and it's 238 days. That's most of a full year. So it's really striking.
Well, I'm confused. I mean, again, I'm not attacking anyone. I'm not physically qualified to serve in the U.S. military. So, I'm not singling anyone out. But you keep hearing people say that the president's ban on this, or his tweet announcing a ban on this, will make our country less safe. How exactly would that work? Why would it be less safe?
Right. Really, the military is no place for political correctness, and the military discriminates on who serves every day. If you're obese, if you're flat-footed, if, a variety of medical reasons, you can be denied from entering the service. And the fact of the matter is there's a tremendous amount of cost involved with transgender individuals. This estimate of the $1.35 billion over 10 years does not even include hormone therapy, which the estimates are $1,200 a month for hormone replacement therapy. So there's a tremendous amount of cost, but it's also the readiness issue. And I don't think there are many qualified people that can serve, and really disqualifying transgender because of these very practical reasons shouldn't get in the way of us being a strong military force.
Well, it doesn't make you a bigot to bring it up. I guess that would be my argument. Elizabeth, Thank you very much for adding some facts to a debate that's riddled with dishonesty and demagoguery. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.